and gentlemen, what a pleasure to talk with you tonight. My name is John Tyler. I'm coming at you pre recorded from the Cheap Motel in Houston, Texas. Such a pleasure to be able to share from my heart, share what's been going on, and unfortunately, in addition to all the good things that I want to discuss, because we focus on the good things. But who knows that if we focus constantly on the good things, we can sometimes end up being a doormat, and we have to address the demons and the devils and the liars and the deceivers of life. It's important. I remember years ago I had a pastor, and he used to say, I'm going to tell you what you'll need to hear instead of what you'll want to hear. And every once in a while, John's going to be that voice in your life. He's going to tell you what you need to hear instead of what you want to hear. And I think you're going to enjoy tonight because we are going to have a fantastic conversation that's going to span lots of different areas. But I think two areas I want to focus on. Actually, three areas. Let's start with the most important. Just encouraging the princess. Just letting her know that I'm still crazy about her, that she still dominates my thoughts every day. If you'll give me a couple minutes, I want to talk directly to her, and I'm sure you'll give me that time, and I appreciate that. Also, earlier this week, or whenever this was, within the last week or so, I noticed that Google, this is a very powerful search engine that basically runs the world, they had at the bottom of one of their pages, they had a pretty good idea, I thought. It was hashtag. There was a hashtag, and I can't remember what the hashtag was. But basically, what they said was, "Give your advice to your younger self." And I thought about that. If you could talk to the John of 18 years old, Laporte High School, actually, I graduated at 17, but you understand my point. What would you say to him now, knowing what you know now? Are there things you would share? Things that you would say? I actually thought that was pretty clever, and to whoever over at Google came up with that, I want to commend you. That was actually pretty good. Excuse me while I open up another, what I call bush ice. I love these things. Very, very, very good. Thank you. And finally tonight we're going to, darn it, we're going to have to talk about what you need to hear instead of what you want to hear. Stay tuned for the story about John going to jail, Baytown, Texas. Yeah, John, John, Mr. Nice Guy. We've already established I'm not the bad guy, right? Right. Well, it still remains to be true to this day. But I did go to jail, and I want to. Gosh darn it! I'm going to have to address that and what the truth is behind that situation and what you need to know. I mean, what you need to know about the environment, about what preceded that, and what caused that. That's important. As an investigator, you would want to know that. So we're going to touch on that tonight. But first, we're going to start out with a message to the sweetest and most beautiful girl ever since the history of mankind, the princess. Baby, you are so beautiful. It makes me feel crazy. Not crazy like the guy we're going to discuss later, but crazy with love thoughts. Because it makes me feel very lonely when I'm not with you because you're so beautiful. And ever since I looked at you, the very first time I looked at you, do you remember? Do you remember when I first looked at you? Ever since then, all I've been able to do is think about you every day. And I don't know how to stop thinking about you, so I'm not going to stop. I'm going to love you until the day whenever it's time to stop, and hopefully that's never. We don't want that. That's a bad thought. Bad thought. Erase that thought. We don't think about the day we stop thinking about the princess. We don't think about that thought. That's a bad thought. Love thoughts. Do you remember how special it felt when we were together? So I want to let you know that I'm still very much enamored with you. Is that okay to say that? Enamored with you? And so I just want to let you know that I'm still thinking about you. And then on to everybody else, including the princess, because I think a lot of what I have to say tonight is going to would benefit the princess. And actually, it's funny that you'd say that, John, because a lot of what I'm going to say in the next few minutes actually is advice that I would give to the princess, especially during these times when we can't be apart. I was thinking about the things that have caused me the most discomfort. The battles fought in our mind. Remember, they've written books about this. The battlefield of the mind. Remember that. Everything. You got to keep your thoughts going in the right direction. Now, your thoughts aren't going to change everything. Anybody that tells you that ought to, I've got some, I've got some beachfront property I want to sell in Montana. I mean, anybody that tells you that your thoughts control everything in your life is just not telling you the facts. There's a lot of factors, but the fact that you do need to keep things in your mind going in the right direction is a very, very powerful thought. I want to start with one strategy that I think that'll help you with that, baby, and everybody else listening. The first thing I would encourage everybody to do is to eliminate the whatevers and the sures from your life. Now, what do I mean by that? Have you ever shared something that you wanted to do that maybe you didn't have the ability to do at that particular moment? Or maybe you didn't have the money to do at that moment? Or maybe you didn't have the connections to do at that moment? And you were met with, whatever, sure. You ever heard somebody say that? I've become convinced that if the devil, and I'm not a preacher and I'm not going to pretend to be one on the internet, I'm certainly not going to pretend to be something I'm not, but if I was, I would say that the devil was going to write a book, a Bible. The word whatever and the word sure would appear in that book constantly. No, it'd be sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Why would he write about that? Everybody's going to do that. I mean, the people that are going to do that are going to do that anyway. Why not attack people that normally think they've got their shit together? Right? Not that people that are into sex, drugs, and rock and roll don't have their shit together. I'm not trying to be judgmental here. I'm trying to make a point. Whatever and sure are two of the most demonic words, because that's what a dream stealer says. That's what a doubter says. Right? When was the last time you said, okay, let me give you an example. Maybe you work today at a convenience store. Maybe you work at a grocery store. Maybe you're a sophomore in college, and you say, someday I'm going to be chancellor of this university. Whatever. Sure. Maybe you're at that grocery store. You're doing your best. You're coming in work every 10 minutes early every day. You're being the best you can be. You're being good to the customers. Someday I want to manage this place or a place like it. Whatever. Sure. Do you see the point I'm trying to make tonight? I want you to eliminate the whatevers and the sures from your life. Just get that shit out of your life. I heard one teacher years ago make the statement when he was talking about people that you need to get out of your life. He was talking about ruthlessly eradicating people from your life. And I like that because it conjures up an image of not just saying goodbye, but saying, I don't have time for this crap. I'm done. Done. Listen, if people don't believe in you and your vision and your dreams, they're a waste of your time. Which is brings me to my second point. Only share your dreams with winners. Only share your dreams with winners. Please. There's an old saying that I used to hear that small-minded people can rarely grasp big ideas. And if you're a big idea person, I like to think of myself as a big idea person, you'll always know the small-minded people around you. And you want to know how you'll know them? Sure. Whatever. Find a core group of people, and sometimes it may only be 1, 2 people that you can confide in and share your dreams, and that they will give you encouraging things. Unfortunately, my number one fan was my mom, and we lost her in 2007 to Lou Gehrig's disease. So I've been kind of in a situation where I've got these huge dreams, and sometimes I feel like I'm surrounded by, sure, whatever. Remember that old song we used to love at the nightclub? This is what the devil does? Well, let me tell you what the devil says. The devil says, sure and whatever. My recommendation is give him 3 strikes. Just like in Texas. 3 strikes, you're out. You know, you fuck up 3 times in one area, they send you up to Huntsville. First time you share a dream, sure. Just shoot them a look. Let them know I'm counting. Next time you speak positive, whatever. Maybe say something to them. Look, I know you are a small-minded individual with no dreams and no vision for yourself, but I'd appreciate it if you keep that stuff to yourself. The 3rd time, sure. Ruthlessly eradicate that person or those people from your life. That is like poison to your dreams. Those people are as detrimental to your future as you partnering up with a bunch of people that shoot up heroin. They will destroy your dreams. Sure and whatever, get rid of them. Only share your dreams with winners. A 3rd thing I would recommend is only spend a limited time a day watching television news. If you've noticed on the television now, we've got these people running their mouth 24 hours a day. And they got it all figured out, right? They're always right. News people are always right, right? I mean, they wouldn't be on the news if they weren't people of integrity and honor. So they're always right, and they've always got the facts straight, right? Well, those of us that aren't news people actually live in reality. We know that that isn't the fact. So the important thing is, don't let these people put that garbage in your mind all the time. Used to be, back in the day, back when journalism wasn't controlled by big money interests coming from God knows where. I'd hate to know where all this money's coming. It's financing these freaking people. But used to be that you know, in the days of Walter Cronkite, that there were actually ethics. You know, that there was actually a responsibility, a public trust. Those days are long gone. It's a whole different game. And nowadays they massage the facts to basically create the news, right? Right? I mean, how many times have you been in an event and watched a news story later and the news story didn't seem to jive with what you'd experienced? Exactly. We need to be careful how much of that we put in our head. They can have their own reality if they want it, but you have to monitor how much of that you let. Don't let other people control what you think. That's the important thing. Beware of Facebook. Look, I don't have a damn thing against that kid that created that, whatever his name is. Seems like a nice enough guy, and God, I wish I'd come up with the idea. But the fact that they term this thing friends, I like Twitter. Followers. That's a better term. It doesn't imply so much of a relationship. You know, friends, sometimes I'll spend, here's something that people don't know. I usually spend about an hour or 2 a day on Facebook. And what I do is I don't ever type anything. Rarely will I type anything. I just read. And I try to discern what is being said. And I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of times I'm wondering, this is what friendship looks like? The point I'm trying to make is limit your time on Facebook. Limit your time watching TV news. These are 2 sources of distorted information that you don't need polluting your mind. Remember, the people that teach that your thoughts will control your life. That's partially true. I think some people take that too far. But the fact is, if you're letting people that are sure and whatever and blah, 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 and backbiting and bullshitters, if you're letting that shit go inside of you constantly, your life is going to resemble the people that you are. And who wants to fucking look like that shit? Another thing that I would say to John Tyler is, and I wish I'd told myself this 10 years ago, and this comes after much study. Much study. And well, what do you mean by study? Do you go to the library? No. Unfortunately, because of my situation, I've had the ability to watch a great deal of politicians. I've been able to carefully listen to their choice of words, what they say, how they say it. Listen, kids, if the person needs votes to have the job that they have, or if they need votes for a job that they want to have, all I'm asking you to do is be skeptical. How many times have we heard somebody that was completely believable, make a promise or say something was, or imply something was going to happen? Nothing happened. Does it mean they're a bad person? In some cases, no. In some cases, yes. We need to be very careful about the people we send into power. Now, I know the only people that listen to me are people of integrity and honor. And I hope that you run for office. I hope that you decide that America is too important to leave to people that obviously feel the only thing important is keeping their job. And we need to affect change. And that's not happening. I don't want to get off on that. It's so obvious if you study if you watch political campaigns, they say one thing's going to happen, the exact opposite happens, and then we pay them exorbitant amounts of money to go to Washington or Austin or wherever you live and do absolutely nothing. So anyway, let's just be careful. Last and not least, if you ever find that you're a hostage at a Nazi Germany war camp and you feel threatened by a mentally ill stoner, please feel free to take a swing at him. That's exactly what John Tyler faced. That's exactly what John Tyler faced recently. After a small argument amongst roommates turned into, well, quite a little spat. And Herb Man, I'll call him Herb Man because, well, I don't know what else to call him right now. I don't want to call him by his name because I want the guy to come to his senses and to erase what he put on the internet. Oh, it's a foolish person. Made some remarks that were not only inaccurate, ironically, he's a news person. Isn't that funny? People of integrity and honor. Right? People at the newspaper are honest, right? Right? The urine that they use to get the job, that's their urine, right? I don't know. But I do know this, that if I take a swing at somebody, if a 250-pound man or 230-pound man is ever laying down on top of me on my bed in my bedroom, screaming in my face, I'm going to take a swing at him. I'm going to take a swing at him. And I ought to get a fucking medal for it and not a fine. It's been an incredible situation that if I wrote it for a Hollywood screenwriter, they'd throw it back at me and say, this is too unbelievable. It's an environment that I was living in which, amazing. You know how we handle radical Islam. You want to know how we handle radical Islam? We have to kill everybody that follows Allah. It's the only answer. It's the only way we're going to fix it. In other words, if you are a God-fearing, peaceful Muslim in the United States, you must be killed. I don't believe that. I think that's fucking stupid. But that's what I was told time and time again. And hey, Jews, it's all your fucking fault. Actually, it isn't all your fault. What I was hearing mostly before I left was, it's not all the Jews' fault. Well, I don't know. Who else's fault? That's for fucking sure. I mean, it isn't just the Jews' fault. And Erbman. Oh, beautiful Erbman. Oh, no, hold on a minute. Before we get to Erbman. There's a gentleman this gentleman had written on the internet that I went to jail for hitting. Made a couple comments that I found utterly bizarre. The morning I was in jail, he wrote, "Sure is nice to get up in the morning with peace and quiet." Well, generally it was peaceful and quiet in the morning when we got up. One of the first things that I would generally be greeted by when I got up in the morning to open up my door was my other roommate with his hand extended like, those Nazi Germany soldiers. Apparently, Hitler had it all right, or mostly all right. Jews were supposed to die. This is the environment I lived in. And Erbman, the man that says he wanted me out of his life 3 years ago, but we were on a week-to-week, and he never seemed to have a problem with me handing him $75 a week for rent. And then when I told him that's the last fucking $75 I'm handing your ass, he acted indignant, like, "You're leaving?" But apparently he wanted me out of his life 3 years ago. He's a newsman. We know that the vast majority of news people these days graduated from the Brian Williams School of Journalism. In other words, we're all fucking full of shit. This guy certainly falls into that category. Oh, Jesus and forgiveness. Brought up Jesus and forgiveness. Mr. Erbman smokes dope every day of his life. Strapped urine to his fucking leg and microwaved it so he could pass a urine test to get the job. But John, he's the bad guy. I promise you I didn't swing at anybody during that argument. It was an argument among roommates, and I can guarantee you, this man didn't swing at anybody until a 230-pound man was screaming in my face, and I had my back against the bed. I can tell you what, I don't care who you fucking are. If you're a 230-pound man and you're screaming in my face saying, "John, John, John," I'm going to take a swing at you if I'm laying on my back and you're on top of me. Sorry. I struggled with this. I thought I'm going to be the bigger person. I even took it an extent further. This is the mercy of God. Maybe I was right, but I'm not going to do what I wanted to do, which was write a blog post about it and send about 20 or 30,000 people all over the world through it. But I'm doing it this way. It is time to clean house. It's time to get the charlatans, the demons, get them to deliverance, get them to counseling. They call me crazy on the internet. John Tyler is crazy. And everybody that told me that he wasn't owes me an apology. Crazy? Let me ask you a question. If you were woken up once every month by the sound of somebody beating the shit out of themselves at 2 o'clock in the morning, who's crazy? What do you mean by that, John? Listen to this. That, my friends, is the sound of crazy. And after I after I took 3 or 4 shots to the side of the head to get his fucking nutty ass off me, he fucking called the police and then pulled a gun on me, a handgun that's not registered to him. I don't know where the gun came from. I don't own a gun. I don't want a gun. I haven't fired a gun since I was in the Marine Corps. So I'm trying to figure this out. The mentally ill cause a good man crazy in a Nazi Germany war camp where all the Jews have to die and all the Muslims have to die. And Adolf Hitler was a hero. Don't trust me, trust the FBI. He told me the FBI's already investigated him, had him downtown in Houston. This is not something I'm just making up. So they got me in this place that I can't get out of, or I thought I couldn't. You can always escape to the cheap motel. Always get away from the fuckers at the cheap motel. Never go back to the motherfuckers at the Nazi Germany war camp. Never. So the crazy motherfucker that beats the shit out of him at night has a gun. Cops come. This was fantastic. Cops come. He says, I've been assaulted tonight. And I said, well, yeah. Oh, he was smoking dope out of a pipe when the argument broke out, right? I'd had some of these Bush Ice. Hold on a minute. I'd had some of these Bush Ice. I love them. They're good. I'd had several of them. And he'd been smoking on his magical pipe. He's got a little pipe. Looks like a little wiener. Looks like a little penis. He likes to smoke on that marijuana. He's a real doper. Quote scripture. Oh, yeah. That reminds me. Afterwards, he's talking about how he just wanted to get me out of his life 3 years ago. Jesus and forgiveness, and now there's been an incident. Yeah, there's been an incident. You made an ass out of yourself. I got news for you, folks. I haven't been able to get out of that situation. I tried to get an apartment elsewhere. I wanted out of there when I didn't ask his permission when he brought the other third person in there that's into Nazism, into white power, into killing all the Jews and the Muslims. Poor Muslims. I mean, look what they've got to deal with now. They've got these fucking idiots that cut people's heads off on television, and now, you know, it's like giving it's tarnishing their whole faith off these fucking idiots. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this was a situation that I obviously needed to get out of. And to be called crazy by somebody like that is a badge of honor to me. And I don't have the $440 or whatever it is that I'm going to have to go pay to the Baytown police. So I'm going to have to go sit in jail when the real fucking people that ought to be sitting in jail are sitting at home laughing at me, smoking on the herb cigarettes. So who's in control in America? Herb Man. Herb Man, the journalist. You don't fuck with the journalists, you don't fuck with the Herb Man. I was thinking about this. I'm so pro-police. You know, police have the toughest job in the world. Every time they put that uniform on, they risk their lives for us. Do you remember last week, just in the last couple of days, there was a sniper that was taking shots at cops? This is a dangerous job. But my recommendation, if I was the chief of police, and did you see the chief of police of Baytown today on TV? He looks so dapper. He's got that really nice leather-looking jacket with really dapper-looking guy. If I was the chief of police in Baytown, I might put my arm around that police officer and say, look, I appreciate you and the risk you take every day. But don't you think it would have been nice for us to know what the circumstances around this guy throwing those 2 punches were before we hauled him off to jail and charged him $450 that he doesn't have? Doesn't matter, does it? You threw a punch. So you're the bad guy. Well, I disagree. But I will be there to when that turns to a warrant. If I don't have the money, and I will be there to pay that. But I will always be proud of myself for throwing a punch at a 230-pound maniac, stoned doper maniac, screaming in my face in a Nazi Germany war camp. God bless.